What is up, guys? We're back with another video, and today we're checking out this case right here, which is the brand new Fractal Design Meshify 3. Now, this case is a long time coming because the Meshify 2 came out all the way back in 2020. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, before we get started, there are going to be two different sizes of the Meshify 3. So I have the normal Meshify 3 here. There's also going to be an XL version. And the XL version, as you can guess, is going to be a bit bigger. It's going to offer more motherboard support as well as more cooling options. When it comes to colors, at launch, we're going to have two different color options. You have the white that I have here, and then the black. And within each color are going to be different options of the case as well. So here are the options that you get for the black version of the case. And then the options here that we have for the white version of the case. The big difference is that for some reason on the white version of the case, there is no option for a just plain side panel. You have to get a glass side panel on the white version of the case. And then going down the different, I guess, versions of the case, there's just the Meshify 3, which is going to come with three 140 millimeter fans, which are not RGB. And then there's the RGB version of the case, which is going to come with those three 140 millimeter fans, but they are going to be the RGB version. And then there's the Ambience Pro version of the case, which comes with those three RGB fans, the fan controller or fan hub, which is their Adjust Pro hub, which is a fan and RGB hub, and you get different RGB elements throughout the case. If you haven't guessed already, this is the Ambience Pro version of the case, and of course we have it here in the white. As far as size goes, I'll go ahead and list the official dimensions up on the screen like I always do. I would call this a compact mid-tower, which means that it's not going to take up a ton of room on your desk. It's also pretty small, so you can easily move it around if you're taking it to a LAN party or something like that. Starting at the front of the case, we of course have the iconic mesh, which made this case so popular when it first launched. If you're not familiar with the Meshify series, Fractal Design didn't just put a mesh front on the case, they've given it a sort of angular design, which definitely makes it stand out. Towards the bottom of the case is a simple Fractal Design logo. Now, if you go ahead and pull up on the front panel from the bottom here, it just easily comes right off, and you can go ahead and clean it if you needed to. Now, one thing that you notice is that the RGB on the front turns off when you do that. That's because Fractal is making use of these pogo style connections here. So when you go ahead and put it back on, you don't have to worry about any cables or anything. Your lighting just turns right back on. With the front of the case removed, we can get a look at the three included 140 millimeter fans. These are Fractal Design's new Momentum 14 RGB PWM fans. These feature low noise LCP blades, a true FPD bearing, and a single USB-C style connector for easy daisy chaining. These three fans are the only fans that are included with the case. The front of the case also supports three 120 millimeter fans or radiators up to 360 millimeters. Moving up to the top of the case, you'll find your buttons and connections, which include a large power button in the center, two USB 3.0 Type A ports, a USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 Type-C port, and a combination headphone and microphone jack. The rest of the top of the case here is ventilated, and for some reason my camera just goes crazy when I don't have my hands here. So we have all ventilation right here at the top of the case, and there's a pull tab back here that allows you to just remove this top section so you can go ahead and clean it and of course access your top cooling bracket here. Now, this top cooling bracket is fully removable. You can see the two thumb screws that are right here. Take those out. You can take this cooling bracket out. Now, this cooling bracket will support two 120 or 140 millimeter fans and radiators as large as 280 millimeters. The main side panel of the case is your standard tempered glass panel, which allows you to show off all of the hardware in your system. This panel is not tinted. When it comes to removing your main side panel here, it is extremely easy. So there is a tab right here, and there is a screw hole in this tab. if you wanted to lock down the panel. Now, all you have to do is sort of just pull on that tab, and you can see how I didn't want this to fall, because this side panel will not just like sit here like we've seen in some cases in the past. It will fall, so make sure you have a good handle on it. You can just take it out and you can access your system. Putting it back in, you just line up the tabs here with the holes in the case, just like that, and you lock the panel in. Really easy to go ahead and do that. Now, while we're on the side of the case here, we do have a pull-out filter for the power supply. I really like that it's on the side of the case here. Just makes it super easy to access. The opposite side panel of the case is just a normal white steel panel. It makes use of the same locking system that we saw on the main panel of the case. The back of the case is pretty standard and well ventilated. You have your motherboard mount with your power supply mount below it. If you're wondering, you can also mount a 120mm fan back here. Also, on the back of the case here, you have these 3 Velcro ties, which make it really easy to organize all of the cables coming out of your system. Getting inside the case, we can see we have a pretty standard 2-compartment design. Now, there is a full-length power supply cover, but towards the front, it's actually an air guide. This will guide air directly towards your graphics card for better cooling. When it comes to motherboards, this case will support mini ITX, micro ATX, ATX, and extended ATX motherboards up to 227mm. We can also see the built-in cable covers towards the front of the case. This will keep this side of your system looking nice and clean. When it comes to graphics card support, this case will support graphics cards as long as 349mm. Removing the opposite side panel of the case, we can see how the rest of the case is designed. The first thing that caught my attention here was the Adjust Pro hub, which is mounted to the back side of the motherboard tray. This hub will control the fan speed and lights in the case. Now, the included fans and everything else is pre-wired to this hub, so all you have to do is plug it into power and then connect the PWM cable to your motherboard. This hub does use proprietary Type-C connectors that the new Momentum fans use, so only these devices will be able to plug into it. There are 2 extra ports available on this hub in the default configuration. If you don't want to use the Adjust hub, Fractal does include a breakout cable for the fans, which will give you both PWM and ARGB connections to connect to your motherboard. So here are our 2 storage brackets right here, and these are actual 2-piece brackets. They are not like a tray. And the reason that Fractal has done that is to add extra capacity, also allow you to make them smaller so you can accommodate a 2.5-inch SSD or make them full size like you see here, which will accommodate a full-size 3.5-inch hard drive. Now, if you have them smaller like this, they will actually accommodate 2 2.5-inch SSDs. So if you just did SSDs back here, you can go ahead and do 4 total back here. And if you just had 2 normal 3.5-inch hard drives, you could do a total of 2 back here. These brackets are pretty easy to remove as well. You can just take this single screw out and the bracket comes out, so you can make them thinner or wider depending on your preference. Also, there are 2 more 2.5-inch SSD mounts on the bottom of the case by the power supply. So in total, this case will support 6 total hard drives. Towards the front of the case here is where you're going to route most of your cables, and Fractal has their new cable aligners. These are essentially sort of like large pieces of plastic here, and you have your cables here, and then just to lock everything down, you just press these in and they lock into place, and you can have them out a little bit, but if you want a tighter fit, you just press them in. They're locked into place. Really simple, in my opinion, much better than Velcro ties or zip ties or anything like that. And they're pretty sturdy as well. It's not like they're made of cheap plastic or anything like that. Of course, we have our power supply mounted at the bottom of the case. If you're wondering, the max length of a power supply you can install in this case is 180mm. When it comes to lighting here on the case, of course, we have those 3 RGB fans in the front of the case. And because we have the Ambience Pro version of the case, we're also going to get some accent lighting on the front of the case as well as on the side here. Now, to control everything with the Adjust Pro hub, one thing that Fractal has done, which I absolutely love, is that they have everything here web-based. So all of the control for the Adjust Pro hub is going to be web-based, and any change that you make is saved to the memory on the Adjust Pro hub itself. So you don't have to run any software in the background. Your settings aren't lost if you don't have this page up or anything like that. Everything's saved on the hub. So I absolutely love that. So Going into the hub, let's go into lighting first. So if we click on lighting here, and they do bring up this message that says you need to turn dynamic lighting within Windows 11 off. I had to do that for all of this to work. So make sure you turn dynamic lighting off within Windows. We hit OK. And now we can see our connected devices here. So here are our 3 fans. And one thing I love about this software is that if I hover over one of these, it lights up only that device. So that's the top fan. If I hover over this, it shows those are the RGB strips in the case. If I hover over this one, you can see that it shows the fan that is being, that I'm hovering over. So it makes it so easy to see what device is what. We can't guess which one is which. I just really, really like that. So in our lighting effects here, we have our main lighting, and you can select each device and then you can control each one of them individually. We have fractal themes, which I'll go through here in a second. And then we have custom lighting, so you can set custom lighting for each thing as well. And then we have a startup effect. So you can set an effect that plays when you turn on your system for the first time, which I like. And then there's advanced settings, which are basically just setting the ports on the hub to either ARGB or normal RGB. You can do that. So when it comes to the actual lighting, the actual built-in themes, there's 10 built-in themes, and I'll go through them really quickly. So the one that we're on right now is going to be the Northern Lights. If we switch that to the Summer Sky, that's a little bit different color here. But again, the effect goes through all of the devices, which I like. There's Sunset, which again, different colors here in the effect going through. We have Emerald Lake, which is more of a green effect. We have Glistering Ice. You can see that one. Again, more of a blue theme. We have Pink Sapphire. And this one's a little bit different because the effect is actually going through a little bit different than the other ones. So that one's a little bit different. We have Lunar Mist, which again, a bit of a different effect here. So a little bit different. We have Mystic Night. And we have Campfire, as you can see. And then we have Radiant Dawn. That's the last one. So you can see the different lighting effects that you get. Now, if you don't go into this or anything, by default, the case is going to be set up for the Northern Lights effect, which I do have on right now. So that is the lighting. Really easy to do everything. And like I said, the software is pretty flawless. And as soon as you change something, it's saved to the hub. You don't have to, again, download anything. It's just automatically saved to the hub, which I like. Now, under cooling, you have the cooling option over here. Under cooling, again, it gives you a note to make sure that the PWM header on your motherboard is set to PWM. It's not set to auto. So I actually have an Asus motherboard in here, and I did have an issue where my fans, as soon as I turned on my system, were running at 100% speed. So what I had to do is go into the Asus BIOS, select that header, and then change that from auto to PWM so we can see our fan control here, and our fans aren't running at 100% and we don't have any control at all. So when we do that in here, all the fans are on the same port. So we have port 1 right here, and that's showing our current speed of our fans, and everything is based on PWM. And you can make curve adjustments right here based on the percentage of the motherboard PWM you can see here. So really easy to go ahead and change everything. Super easy to do. Also within the app, you can go ahead and update the firmware. I actually updated the firmware as soon as I ran this for the first time, but really easy to use this. And the best part about it is that it is completely like softwareless, right? It's just all running in your browser and everything gets saved to the hub. Now, if for some reason you don't have internet, Fractal will make available an offline version of this app, but for pretty much everybody, just use the web version. You don't need any extra bloated software on your system. When it comes to testing, we're going to be testing both temperatures and noise levels. So here's a full breakdown of our test system. So as I said, this case is a long time coming because the Meshify 2 came out in 2020. And the case that we have here today really feels like a well thought out modern case. Just in general, this is going to be a high airflow case because you have the mesh on the front, and each version of the case will come with 3 140 millimeter fans. So you're going to have good airflow coming into the case. And of course, you can add extra fans or AIOs or things like that into this case. So cooling is going to be really, really good. As you can see, I mean, this case looks really great, especially if you do go for the ambience version of the case that I have here. Everything flows together as far as the lighting, the extra RGB strips on this. It looks awesome. Also, I really like the Fractal app in that it's web-based. So we don't have any extra bloated software that we have to download to control the lighting and do all of that. The only thing with the fans and with the Adjust Pro Hub is that they do use proprietary connections. So it's not like you can plug in another ARGB device into that hub. It has to be the Fractal products that use the Type-C connector there. Now, if you don't want to use the Adjust Hub, they do have a breakout cable. It's just a normal ARGB connection. You can, control everything from another controller or from your motherboard software, no problem. But I think that their integration of everything together in their app just works flawlessly. Like, I didn't have any issues with the app. It works really, really great. And like I said, it's web-based, so you don't have to worry about having extra software on your system. As far as what you can fit in this case, like I said, this is a pretty compact mid-tower, but you can still fit pretty long graphics cards in here, up to extended ATX motherboards. And the big thing here is that you can actually fit 6 hard drives in here, like non-M.2 hard drives, like actual hard drives. So 6 SSDs in here, and you still get support for 2 full-size hard drives, which in 2025, we're not getting that much support for full 3.5-inch hard drives. So you have all of that. This case is really quiet, great cooling performance. I mean, I really, really like it. And again, you get the different options. If you don't want all the RGB, you don't have to get the RGB. If you don't want a side panel window, you don't have to get that. So really, really like this. Now, as far as pricing goes, the Ambience Pro version of the case is going to be $219.99. The RGB version of the case, which does not come with the controller or the extra RGB lighting elements, that's going to be $159.99. And then the normal Meshify 3 version of the case, whether it's a plain panel or a tempered glass panel, that's going to be $139.99. So if you have any questions about this case, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. We'll see you guys in the next video.